In this video you will see how to use an embossing folder with a fun technique. If you like embossing powders, this is something you will have to try yourself. And if you like to use stencils, there might be something new for you. In an earlier video you saw how I colored two guinea pigs with distress inks and a water brush. In this video I use one of them to assemble it all together to make a fun shaker card. With a matching envelope, of course. Please follow my channel and give a thumbs up. All information can be found in the description. This video is subtitled in English. Deze video is ook Nederlands ondertiteld. Enjoy watching! Hello, it's CisVolk. Time to enjoy card making with me. This is Carla Creates' first embossing folder with the cutest guinea pig ever on it. I will use it for a fun embossing technique using embossing powder. We place the embossing folder flat on the desk and use the flat side where the guinea pigs are indented. The other side stays unused for now. Then we take a clear stamp we can use to pimp the background behind the guinea pigs. More or less the same as I did earlier with the stitched lines on the card with the pocket. This time I choose to use the flowers from the guinea pig stamp set number 1. Just place them on a clear block, but stamp in Versamark ink. It is the ink that you use to stamp on colored paper to make a watermark, and also the ink that you use for heat embossing with colored embossing powder. I stamp multiple times on the flat side of the embossing folder, adding multiple flowers on the background of that pattern. You don't see much of it, but you can see the ink shine when you hold it against the light. I checked multiple times in between stamping to see if I had a good coverage. For making the panel I used Florence smooth white 200 grams watercolor cardstock, just because I like that paper for ink blending. The paper is very smooth, but it has one side that is even more smooth, and I will put that side facing the inked embossing folder. The other side of the paper I spray lightly with water, so the paper will not tear so quickly as if it were dry. The dry side will face the stamped side. And then I can carefully place the paper in the folder and close the lid. This technique would also work with other papers. However, don't use too thin paper because it will tear when you do the embossing. And not all paper can handle water, just try it out for yourself. You will have fun using this embossing folder. Now the embossing folder can be put through the die cutting machine. Put the side with the hinge facing the handle first. You will enjoy your embossing folder longer by doing that. I haven't experienced it myself yet, but I've heard that your embossing folder can break if you put it in the other way around. Take the paper out of the embossing folder carefully. You don't want to touch places where there might be ink. You don't see much of it yet, but when you add embossing powder, you will see that the ink has transferred from the embossing folder to the paper. The embossing powder will now stick to that transferred ink. Ta-da! The flowers are now a background image for the guinea pigs. The guinea pigs are in front of the flowers, so it appears. It isn't that crisp as when you would have stamped, but well enough. Add powder to the embossed panel in all directions. We want the best coverage of the powder, and the embossing is preventing that. So I keep adding powder until I have all flowers covered in embossing powder. We can now heat set the powder with the heat tool. I spoiled a lot of my embossing powder on my desk. I don't want to throw it away. I just take a large brush and wipe it off my desk, back onto the paper and back into the jar. Just make sure that no glitter or eraser or other mess gets in between. Then you better throw it away. You don't want to have dirtied embossing powder. Next time I should better use 2 pieces of paper stacked onto each other. After heat setting, you see clearly that there is now a heat embossed pattern behind the guinea pigs. Something like a wallpaper. The embossing folder can be cleaned in the same way you clean your stamps. Just with a microfiber cloth with water. Or rinse it under the tap if you prefer. To give the panel a little color, I take a flat blending foam. With the stress oxide in the color tea dye, I very lightly go over the raised parts of the paper. I first tap off excess ink on my work surface before I add it to the paper. I try not to press hard, to only color the guinea pigs and not give too much color to the background. This is how to give the guinea pigs from the embossing folder some color. With a second color, the color ground espresso, I tap lightly to some parts of the guinea pigs. The colors I use are the same colors as I used to color the guinea pig that will get glued onto this card. Remember to use the same colors or matching colors for the images and the coloring of the background, so the card becomes a whole. Doesn't it look much more fun with the darker accents added? What I will show you now I have shown before in an earlier video, which you can watch if you click on the info in the right corner here. After you watch this video, of course. But I will show you again how to add the eyes to the guinea pigs. Using a fine liner or a jelly roll glaze pen, both work fine. You can add black dots on the places where there are pupils. I prefer the glaze pen because of the embossed effect, but the fine liner works also. You can put the dots on the spots that are embossed, but you can also put them on other places to have the guinea pigs look funny. In a previous video, I showed you how I colored my guinea pigs. Now I will make a cloud that can be a place to put the text. Using a Vaessen marker, I trace the shape of the cloud. This marker contains the same ink as the ink pad. It is hard to see where you colored, but the ink is sticky and embossing powder will stick to it. Such a marker can also be useful when you miss the spot when inking, or if you want to write something or make lines that you want to heat emboss. I heat embossed the gold embossing powder. I used Ranger Princess Gold embossing powder to heat emboss the cloud I traced using the Vaessen marker and the cloud stencil from Carla Creates by Vaessencreative. And then I cut it out, leaving a small white border around the cloud. Just a matter of taste. I already prepared the shaker card. I have put the card panel inside a plastic card bag. The sides stuck to the back with just regular tape. To the front I added yellow sequins. Now I can close it by folding the top corners, just like you do with a present. Fold it close to the card and tape it shut. The shaker elements are now stuck between the embossed background and that plastic wrap. Such a shaker is easier and quicker than a shaker with foam tape around the edges. For the sentiment on the card, I will be using the Happy Birthday dies. I will cut it out of black cardstock. To the back I stick some double-sided adhesive to make it a sticker. That works much easier with small sentiment dies. You can stick the tape to the paper, but easier is to stick the paper to the tape, just by laying the roll of tape to its back and lay the paper on top of it. I always try to leave a small edge of paper to the border. It prevents your scissors to get sticky and it helps finding the beginning of the roll more easily. The dies I hold in place with a piece of easy removable tape. It prevents the dies from shifting while die cutting. So on the back is the double-sided tape and I place the die on the back side. You see the text is now a black sticker. Using tweezers, because otherwise it will stick to your fingers and it will definitely tear, I place the sentiment on top of the cloud. If you don't have tweezers, you can also use the tip of your precision scissors or knife. That's what I did for years. Only having such tiny tweezers is very useful, I can tell. The black text will act as a shadow. I also die cut the same text in gold cardstock. I also stuck double-sided tape on the back of that gold cardstock. I changed my mind and made a new cloud, one that looked better. I removed the black shadow layer from the other cloud and added a gold paper layer slightly shifted on top. As long as you don't press too hard, you can still replace them a few times. The happy birthday text contains two layers, a black layer and a gold layer slightly shifted on top. I also cut out the guinea pig with a tiny white border, just to have it stand out against the background. I also made two more clouds to act as a background for the guinea pig. Sticking the paper pieces to the shaker bag is most easy with foam blocks. You can replace them if you want, and it sticks very well. The belly of the guinea pig I stick with 1 mm foam blocks. For the head I need an action wobbler. I will die cut that out of acetate using my big die cut machine. I stick 3 mm double-sided tape from Vaessen Creative to all 4 outer edges of the wobbler die cut. Now I can stick that on top of my shaker card. In the middle of my action wobbler I stick a foam block. And on top of that foam block I can stick the head of my guinea pig. Before I stick the head of the guinea pig, I stretch the acetate wobbler to achieve dimension and a better wobble effect. And on top of that foam block I now can stick the head of the guinea pig. And now my guinea pig can hold that cloud. I still have the feeling if my guinea pig is too small for holding that cloud, but it looks funny enough. The cloud with the text must be more in front, so therefore I will use 2 mm foam blocks. The extra clouds go in the back with 1 mm foam blocks, and now the whole card panel can be glued to the card base. Also for that I use the same double-sided tape. The tape sticks very firm to paper and plastic. I add a strip on all sides of the shaker panel and a strip in the middle. It is nicest if the plastic edge falls over the edge of the card base. I use the folding of my base card on the left side to aim if I stick the card well in the middle of the paper. You can always cut off overhanging paper when you miss a strip on the right side of the paper, but that cannot be done with the folded side. So that's why I use the left side to start sticking the panel. I hold it in an angle and aim the edge on the exact spot before I fold the rest of the card panel down and stick it to the card base. I could also have used a scoring tool or stamp platform to aim the panel to the right spot. Only then there is a risk that the plastic shaker border will reveal the card base underneath at one or two edges. There is a lot of wobble and shaking in this funny birthday card. Now we need a quick and fun matching envelope. I will use the embossing folder to emboss the flap. I will have to use the embossing folder this way, vertically on the envelope. That's the only way I can put it through my die cut machine. There will be a small gap on both sides though. My envelope is too big. I spray a little water on the outer side of the flap of the envelope, hoping this way the paper will not tear. I place the flap in the embossing folder, aiming one guinea pig in the middle of that triangle on top. The outside of the flap will touch the negative guinea pigs, and the inside of the flap, the side with the glue, will touch the raised parts of the embossing folder. A row of guinea pigs will be cut off at the belly. That is no problem. I place the top embossing plate on the embossing folder halfway. Only the spot where there is a top plate, there will be embossing. The parts that are hanging over will not be embossed. That way the front of the envelope will stay flat. I added distress ink on top of the flap and also some black dots for the eyes. The front of the envelope I decorate with some clouds, also made by tracing the cloud stencil with the Vaessen marker. Also I stamped some flowers on the envelope with Vaessen ink. Using Princess Gold embossing powder I heat set it all. The back flap I like most. It is so much fun to make. Did you enjoy this video? Then let me know in the comments please. Follow my socials and Carla Creates socials for more videos and card making inspiration. You can find all information below in the descriptions, as well as more videos you might be interested in. Thanks for watching and for subscribing and leaving a message in the comments. I will see you next week in my new video. Check out one of the videos in the next screen to watch more for now. Bye bye!